Welcome back, everyone. We have another terrific guest. Thank you guys for joining us every week, man. I cannot express to you how incredible it is to just have this thing grow all the time and just hit 200,000 downloads on Apple and Spotify, man. That is one thing that I really never expected. I expected all the traffic to come from YouTube, but to have that many people download it was really, really incredible. And most of you guys listened to the entire episode. So the fact that so many of you are listening to this podcast is just really, really flattering to me. So I just want to say thank you so much. My guest this week, she's terrific. She is a model here in Las Vegas. She is Miss Valenti Glamour 2021 that I didn't realize I was at that event. I didn't realize it until today because I forgot what the name of it was. She's one of the models for Somnium. Is that how you say it?
Somnium.
Somnium. Please welcome Ms. Jordan Sky to the program. How you doing, Jordan?
Very good. How are you doing?
Terrific, man. Listen, Jordan, I'm pretty sure I could beat you arm wrestling, but I'm not positive. I'm not positive. You spend a lot of time in the gym.
Yes.
Yes. Can you talk about that? Was that something you did all the time, or was that something you developed later on in life?
Well, I grew up with 4 brothers. Mm-hmm. So when they were babysitting me at the age of probably like 12, 13, I was sitting on the side of the gym. And eventually it got to the point where I got tired of sitting and watching them. So I started participating, working out with them. And then it got to the point that I started taking supplements and really taking it seriously.
Yeah. Very cool. Now, here's the thing. I want to just open up with this because this is just an incredible story. Mm-hmm. But you did a front flip one time when you were younger. And did you fracture your neck? Is that what happened?
Completely broke my neck. So I used to do gymnastics.
How old were you when this happened?
That was probably, I think I was 17.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was doing a double front flip and I over rotated and I ended up crashing and like on my whole entire neck. And so I lost spinal fluid in my C5 and C6. And then I essentially lost feeling and everything from my waist down. It was pretty bad though. When it happened, I drugged myself out of the gym that I was at, and it was downpour raining, and I was in a field because I was so delirious when it happened.
You never lost consciousness when this happened?
Completely lost.
Oh, you did?
For about, like, I would say maybe 5 minutes or so, and I had this little voice in my head that was talking to me, telling me to wake up, and still to this day, I don't know if that was God or if that was my conscience or what that was, but telling me to wake up. I finally woke up. Yeah, and I had to get helivaced because they thought I was paralyzed from the waist down. Helivaced from where I was at, and then brought to the hospital. And
did they do the whole thing where they give you the IV drip of like extremely cold saline in order to stop the swelling? Have they started doing that?
Yes.
So this is a really weird thing. This is what happened to Ryan Shazier, who was the middle linebacker for the Steelers. He had a fracture of his vertebrae where he hit a guy with the top of his helmet. And but he never lost consciousness, and he was in like extreme pain, but he couldn't feel anything from the waist down. Yeah. And what they do is they put an IV in you, and they want to get you as cold as possible, so the immune reaction of you having the swelling, which can cause further nerve damage, they try to keep that from happening. So that's what they did to you. Did you feel like you were going through hypothermia?
Oh yeah, it was awful. I mean, it felt like you have chills. You don't even understand. Your body gets completely ice cold. They shot me with morphine too. To try and calm me down, because then it started becoming almost like a central nervous system thing. Yeah. That once I realized that I couldn't move, I started freaking out. But yeah, that whole IV, it's awful. Even where they put it in, that whole site on your arm, it burns. It hurts really, really bad.
Yeah. So they want to get your body temperature as low as possible, keep you alive. And it's kind of a similar thing with the induced coma, because they don't want certain autoimmune effects or autonomic effects to come in and then cause the inflammation. The inflammation is what causes a lot of times the additional paralysis, is because of the blood flow.
And I believe too, the more swelling you have too on your spine and between your vertebrae, I think that the spinal fluid leaks out more.
Yeah. So what happens there? So you have a leaking of spinal fluid. Is that something that gets replaced automatically, or what happens?
No, so you can never replace it. So in between my C5 and 6, instead of having normal vertebrae that's straight, now it's kind of crooked. Mm-hmm. And so that spinal fluid that's gone, I can never get back. So I just had to be super careful. So yeah, that's kind of what got me into working out too, is that after that happened, I went 3 days in the hospital thinking I was never going to walk again. In that thought and that feeling, I mean, you have so many things go through your head up until that point. How did I get here? And then, the doctors were trying to do everything to give me back feeling. And I ended up having someone come and do almost what is it? The therapy on me. Yeah. And all of a sudden I started feeling in my toes again, in my hands. And I promised myself if I could ever walk again, that I would never go a single day without working out or walking on the treadmill or being active or taking care of myself, because once that's taken away, you know, we completely take advantage of the simplest things, breathing or sight, being able to hear, the littlest things. You know, I thought that was all gone. So once I got it back, I was like, I'm going to hit the ground running, which I did. Yeah.
And did the doctors, you mentioned something, well, two things. First off, the ward that you were in, all of those people remain paralyzed except you. You were the only one you said got out.
Yes. So someone from a football accident got hit, completely paralyzed. Another person fell off a horse. And so kind of being in that room and hearing what was going on around me and hearing like the cries and the screams and stuff, yeah, it was really traumatizing because, you know, you think you're in that boat too when you're in that whole sector. But yeah, I'm definitely lucky, and I have a guardian angel out there for sure. And every single morning that I wake up, I feel thankful and blessed to be here for sure.
Was it the doctor or the personal trainer who told you about things you weren't going to be able to do, and you decided instead to like make your back stronger? Yeah,
so that was the doctor. I went to about, I would say, 4 to 5 different surgeons. And they wanted me to get that surgery where they put the coil around your back. Mm-hmm. And they had me meet with about 4 people, and every single person that had the surgery told me not to do it.
Yeah.
And they said, if you can just kind of work out your muscles and stuff and make yourself stronger on your back, you'll be fine. I just can't do things like I can't go on a roller coaster. I can't go snowboarding.
Really?
I can't. Yep.
Why not roller coaster?
In case it stops short, then that impact on my back.
Really?
It could just jolt my spine again.
Do you feel anything now? Do you feel any lingering stuff from it?
Yeah, for sure.
Lack of flexibility, or like what is it that you feel, tingling in the joints or something?
Tingling. So C5 and 6 is your hands.
Yeah.
So in the winter, I could be driving on the car, and then all of a sudden my hands kind of go a little bit numb on the wheel. Or I could be writing with a pen for too long, and then my hand's going to all of a sudden let go of the pen. Yeah, it's crazy. With your spine and your back, you don't realize how many things it controls. So
yeah. Well, all of it. Yeah. There's literally nothing it doesn't control.
Yeah.
Even your, what is it called? The parasympathetic nervous system comes through there. Yeah. So anyway, the thing that happens, so afterwards, I guess you're 17, you're 18, 19, 20. Mm-hmm. Are you just you're in the gym a lot now making up for this? Do you go to college somewhere? Like what goes on in your life at this point?
Woo. So I was in a neck brace for about 3 years.
Okay.
Crazy. So homecoming, all that fun stuff you're supposed to enjoy, I was in a neck brace. So then I ended up going to school. I went to High Point, which is in North Carolina.
Okay.
By then I was out of the neck brace. And that's, I guess when I really started kicking it up with the working out and stuff, because it was either I'm getting surgery and I'm going to be down and out for a while, having problems the rest of my life, or I can kick my ass in gear and build up my entire back and, my core. That was the other big thing they were saying. If you have a strong core, then it supports the rest of your body. So then I started eating really healthy. Food is medicine. I've always had that mentality. Yeah, so it all kind of fell into place.
What is the transition? How do you end up here in Las Vegas from North Carolina?
Well, I was engaged to someone.
There's always a dude. Okay, so I was going to say this beforehand, and you guys have been watching my show for a while. There's always a fucking dude. Always. And then if you wanted me to, if I had 4 guesses, I can also probably tell you how it ended. Because it's always a dude who brings you. But you stay. The thing is you stay, though. You was like, oh, this dude brought me here. It's terrible. Masha came on here. Same shit. Came here, wonderful guy. He was cheating on me the whole time. Fuck him. And now she's working at Web Republic. You know what I'm saying? It's it always ends up with a happy ending. Anyway, go ahead. So what happens?
Yeah, so I got engaged, which is what originally made me fly out here. He couldn't kind of function down in the South in North Carolina or Virginia, so we had to come out here.
It wasn't big enough for him, or was too small for him?
Too small. Couldn't get used to things being closed on a Sunday, which I love.
Yeah.
Couldn't get used to there not being handles of alcohol in the gas station, things open 24/7. Which is kind of the stuff I still try and run away back to, But yeah, moved out here, I was still with him for about 3 years out here.
What was he doing? What did he move out here for? What kind of jobs were you guys doing?
He was from here originally.
Okay.
Yeah, but he did kind of like military stuff.
Okay, so over at Nellis or Creech?
Yes, I think at Nellis.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, very nice. What were you doing when you first moved here? Were you training people? What were you doing? Just modeling?
I was just doing modeling and stuff, yeah. And then I got my first job at rehab, so at the Hard Rock. Freshly 21, I was the only girl that got hired with no experience. And I was the youngest person who did.
Do you remember the bikini competition there?
I do remember.
That I was hosting?
Yeah.
Did we meet then?
I didn't do the bikini competition.
No, but I was hosting it. I was the one up there getting
that, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I didn't realize you worked at rehab.
Yeah.
Anywhere else?
Daylight.
Okay, you worked at Daylight?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were, man, that place opened and they had Skrillex there. That place was crazy. That was madness, man.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, so it ends for reasons I don't know if you want to discuss.
Oh, gosh. Why did it end? He was just lazy.
Yeah?
I just got tired of being the breadwinner.
You mentioned this when you came on my show, the
Yep.
Pact Access Vegas. Can you talk into that? Because I think it's really interesting for people. We talk about the dynamics of relationships.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a side hustle on this show, Evolutionary Psychology. So the concept of you guys are together, and then at some point you feel like he just wasn't ambitious. Is that what was going on, or
Yes, I think that's what it was.
were you guys actually married at any point?
No, I was like
Okay.
a runaway bride, basically.
Okay. So you just left. You didn't tell your family
I
from
just
North Carolina.
I dipped. My dad knew, and my dad flew out, moved me out the house into a new house
Okay.
in 24 hours, and then I never went back.
To North Carolina?
No, I never went back to my ex. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, but
Oh,
then
I'm sorry.
out here.
I'm confused. So your dad came out here when you had the breakup.
Yes.
Moved you to a new house here in Las Vegas. What were there signs beforehand? Was there any infidelity or anything like that led to this, or was it?
Oh,
just,
yeah. But I mean, above all that, because that all came out after. Yeah, it was definitely that.
You didn't know, and then you
No.
found out later.
No, I found out.
If we're
later.
going too far, just tell me to stop.
No,
But
no,
this
no,
is-
no. I don't care. No.
This because I feel like it's so helpful for a lot of other
Yeah.
people to hear this.
Yeah, no, I found out way later. But no, it was mostly just him being lazy. I mean, I almost feel like I handicapped him by working so hard and like always bringing in so much money. It allowed him to kind of take a step back and again be almost like a beta. So when I'm
Is
out
this
here,
the guy, the musician?
no,
Oh, okay.
it's a different one.
Okay.
Different one. Yeah, but yeah, so it almost allowed him, I feel like, to just stay at home and work when he wanted to. But yeah, very unattractive. It doesn't make you feel safe. It doesn't make you feel secure.
Listen, I appreciate you at least saying that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women out there that are like, well, our astrological signs didn't match up and I just didn't feel the energy. And I'm like,
yeah.
no, the motherfucker lost his job. That's
Yeah.
why you left him.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, there's there's an evolutionary adaptation for women to want to be with men who are competent, who they feel safe, provision, provider, protector. And a lot of men see that as like horrible. To me, I see it as a reason to get up in the morning
Yeah.
and go work my ass off and build a business. That's the way I
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
Right? There's two ways. And so the thing is, a lot of women, they won't even admit that. They're
Yeah.
like, well, no, the vibe was off.
Oh, no.
Or we grew apart. Like, no, he was just got fat and lazy. That's essentially what happened. And Brock,
Yeah.
Brock the bartender kept flirting with you. You know?
Yeah.
Did you, I'm just curious, while you're near the end of your relationship, do you find other dudes attractive? Are you considering anything else at that point?
No. I feel like I was pretty dead set on him.
Yeah.
It's just hard though, because my father is, some of the hardest shoes to fill. He is so masculine.
Yeah.
He provides for our entire family. He's absolutely amazing. He is so successful. So it's like I almost grew up in a different type of life, I would say, because I had that example of how a man should be. So the second that a man, I personally feel like, is not filling those shoes, you're done.
So I guess another question would be, what did you feel in North Carolina that you didn't feel later in Las Vegas? What was the thing that was different there? Was he ambitious there and then wasn't ambitious in Las Vegas?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
He was way more ambitious out there. He seemed to have his stuff together. We didn't live together yet. So
Yeah.
I think that's another huge thing is you don't really know someone until you live with them.
There's actually conflicting studies on this about cohabitation before marriage. Now, there is a study that shows if you have sex with someone before you marry them, but you marry that person, that is not a leading indicator of divorce.
Okay.
So the fundamentalist Christians got that one wrong. But the one they did get right was if two people, the first person that they ever have sex with, if that's the person they marry, the likelihood of them getting divorced is very low. It's really interesting.
Okay.
So it's like the scale starts at 2 virgins and then decreases after that. It's like a 75, 65, and then it decreases after that. And once you get to and then it flattens out for men. For women, once they get more than 20 sexual partners, the likelihood of them staying in a marriage is 17%. These are really interesting studies that happen. But for men, it tends to not affect the way the marriage, whether or not it works out. But the cohabitation thing, there's one study that shows that if people cohabitate before they're married, it doesn't work out that well. And there's another study that shows that doesn't really have an effect. So I don't really know how that works out because I may be experimenting with that pretty soon. So that's why I'm very interested in this.
I love it.
So let's talk about this. So the first time you and I actually ever met, I knew who you were on social media.
Yeah.
But the first time I saw you was at the Miss Valenti 2021 thing.
Yeah.
But that happened in 2020.
Yeah.
It was during the middle of the pandemic. I remember this. This is the first time I ever met Nara Ford because she was one of the sponsors for that event.
Right.
And you came out, and I remember you winning like pretty much everything that night.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that was Miss Valenti. The thing that made me remember was Ramiro, because that's the first time I met Ramiro, who had actually asked me to come out to like Canada and like host some things with him. And I knew Ramiro because I'm friends with Chloe Teray.
Yeah, Ramiro's my manager.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah. Can you talk about what got you to go do that? Was your first pageant?
Yeah.
What caused you to go do that first pageant? You'd been in the gym obviously for a while at this point. You're single at this point, or are you dating that same guy or somebody else?
I was dating the same guy, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so okay, all right, cool. The timeline makes a little bit more sense here. And then you go off and you do that pageant, and then what happens?
After that, oh gosh.
Well, what caused you to go do it first off in the first place? They just reach out to you to go do it?
I had a bunch of people actually who were trying to get me to do it. They're like, "Oh, you should participate in this." I think it was Cindy Nessarini.
Yes.
I think that Cindy had reached out to me and she's like, "You're so freaking hot. You should go and do this."
Cindy of Bottle Girl Diaries. That was her podcast. Yeah.
Yep. So she reached out to me to go and do it. She was like, "I feel like you could just clean house if you do this." I'm like, okay, like completely blindly going into it. I mean, I had no clue. So then I had one of the other girls, model girls, reach out to me and they were like, "Oh, you got to have all your sponsors." So then I'm hitting up Honey Burdette, one of my favorite lingerie companies. I'm hitting up like a Jagger and Stone, a bikini line, like trying to get all these different sponsors and people to kind of fund and put together these looks for me. I had my makeup girl, my hair people all came together like as a team to kind of try and like get me to go out and do this and win this money. And then, gosh, who was the girl that did all the coaching for the pageant? She's from Australia.
It wasn't Elise Duncan, was it?
No,
from Australia.
Gosh,
the only girls I know her would be Sarah Allen, Elise Duncan. Sarah Allen did the coaching?
Yes. So then she did the coaching.
Sarah Allen's another girl. I'm pretty sure I could beat arm wrestling, but I'm not 100% sure I could beat arm wrestling.
Yep. And she has put out the best positive energy. And she was like, "I feel like you got this." Sure enough, went, cleaned house.
Dude, I remember Sarah being there. This is so crazy. It's like all coming together. Yeah. So the reason why I kind of like put this in the back burner, first off, it was at Hard Rock Cafe, right upstairs. But the thing is, it was the middle of the pandemic. We were doing this. A lot of people don't realize parts of Vegas, we just didn't shut down at all. We were out clubbing like you'd have a mask on going into the wind. As soon as you walked into Excess, there was no big DJ, but we'd take our mask off and we were partying in Excess during like October during the middle of the pandemic. Well, sorry, I snitched on you. Sorry, that's what we were doing. Because Mayor Goodman didn't give a fuck. Like she was like, take your mask off and get back to work.
Yes, she didn't care at all.
She didn't care at all. So that's interesting. So I remember that happening, and I remember you winning multiple, because there were multiple.
Yeah, I won every category.
Categories, yes.
And then it was like my life just took off. It fell into place. You know what? That's also where I met Gina. She does the talk show too.
Yes, Gina Capriati.
Yes. So
yeah, the whole Gina. That's the name of her podcast.
She also went from like 0 to 95. So same thing. That pageant kind of changed her life. But so then once I won the pageant, Ramiro was sitting in the crowd and he came up to me and he was like, "You're absolutely stunning. Like, I feel like I have so many brands you can work with. Here's my card." And then I stayed in contact with him, and then it was like all the sponsorships and all the brands just started pummeling in. And then it's like my whole life changed. Yeah. All my followers on Instagram started moving up from there. And
can you go through like an actual like analytics thing? You had how many, and then you had how many, and then you had how many? How'd that work?
I feel like I had maybe like 50,000 or so. And it wasn't until I did Fashion Nova and Pretty Little Thing that it just skyrocketed. I mean, I think I went up to almost like 170 after a bunch of stuff. And then it just kept kind of trickling up and up and up from there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I would say like you, not just glam, but you do like kind of physique modeling because you have a very small waist.
Yeah.
And so is that like a unique thing that you get picked for?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. A lot of the brands, they'll book me and stuff because they're saying that obviously I have, boobs, but that's.
I didn't even know you have boobs.
But that's about it. So comparative to kind of like the bodies and stuff that are out there right now, I still have more of a natural form. So.
The thing that I thought that I heard you in another podcast say that I completely agree with is this idea where somebody picks themselves apart. Yeah. A girl who lives in Las Vegas, but she goes back to Des Moines and she's a 10, right?
Yep.
Because this is something like your look, I'm just going to say, is a Vegas look. A Vegas look is very, very extremely fit. Yeah. Like girls at Wet Republic look like they can all squat 4 plates. Like they're super fit, and then like times you'll have fake boobs, but it won't be like a ton of surgery. But like that's kind of the Vegas look.
Yeah.
Can you go into that? You're here, like the girls here in Vegas, how they have standards to meet that are different from anywhere else.
Oh yeah, it is a different animal out here. I mean, I'll go somewhere else. I mean, I just went to Disney this past weekend, and I'm wearing like a tank top and spandex, and I feel like I'm walking around naked with the way that people are looking at me, just because even your body shape is different. But yeah, it's so much harder out here. We don't realize that we're the top tier of women, and I think it's because we all put so much pressure on each other. I don't even know if it's for men at that point, or if it's just the pressure that we put on each other.
So here's what I've noticed, spending a lot of time in Chicago, a little bit of time in San Francisco and in New York, and then living in Atlanta, living in Dallas, Austin, living in Los Angeles, and living in Las Vegas. Yeah. The difference between when I'm north of the Mason-Dixon line or south of the Mason-Dixon line.
Absolutely.
When I'm north of the Mason-Dixon line, for those of you who don't know, and public education failed you, that was the line of demarcation for the Civil War. So when I'm up in these northern cities, there's a lot of, in the winter, there's a lot more clothes, and there's a lot of girls with very pretty faces, but like they don't necessarily feel like they need to spend a lot of time in the gym.
Yeah.
And so instead of like spending a lot of time in the gym, they just wear a heavier overcoat, or they just cover it up more. If you live in Dallas, what happens if you're a normal housewife, you go to the gym, and around you are 3 strippers from the lodge, you know what I'm saying, and a cocktail server from Bottle Blonde, and they're all ripped with big fake boobs. And it's not that like it's just you notice the other guy staring at those girls, so you start doing that.
Yeah.
And you start to see an ethos in these southern cities where girls need to be in better shape. They feel like they have more pressure to be in better shape because of the gyms and because of social media. And you don't see it as much in Chicago, New York, or San Francisco as you do in these southern cities. In Vegas, that's exponentially more. Like, meaning you can't even, the girl who makes your sandwiches at Subway has a boob job. Like, it's crazy here. Like when you're here, like you'll go to, like, I remember coming here and being at Harrah's and seeing a girl bringing drinks at Harrah's, like the most stunning woman I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, she couldn't get hired at fucking Wet? That's crazy. And the other thing is, I don't know if you saw the study, the survey that came out. There's a 3.9 or 5.8% chance of you getting into Yale and a 1.8% chance of you getting hired at Towel Beach. Like,
wow.
It is harder to get hired at a pool here than it is to get into an Ivy League school. They'll have 5,000 girls show up and hire 12.
Yeah.
It's for all the pools. It is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And so what happens is it's this trickle down where, dude, there's atmosphere models here who I think are hotter than anybody at any pool. And they're atmosphere models making $100 an hour to sit at a table. Yeah. They're like, so what you're saying from a man's standpoint, I feel that's why I live here. It's just because I turn around, I go out on a Tuesday and I see the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my entire life. And you're saying that can cause women here to sort of like beat themselves up. But when they go home, it's like they're Superman.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's almost like you're getting inducted into something. Like you're getting inducted in a sorority. You get your boob job, you're accepted. You've made it. You're a part of the rest of the women out here. But I mean, it's nice. I don't even frown upon it. You know, it's hard and it does push you to be a different type of woman. But at the end of the day, you're just, you know, pushing yourself to get better and better and better. It can be stressful sometimes. It can really take a toll on you. But I agree. Like, I'll go back home and it's, you know, I won't have on makeup. I'll feel a lot more natural, you know. But out here, it's just like we're all glammed up. I mean, you could be going out to just like the mall. You're going out to the crystal shops and I'm decked head to toe. I'm dressed up.
Like, how about like Tuesday at Omnia? They got spring jam coming up and girls will be in tank tops and like spandex pants on a Tuesday wearing Chuck Taylors and a baseball cap. And they will be so fine. You're like, what in the fuck, bro? It is so crazy. Like, it's
different breed.
It's
different
Tuesday. Breed. And they're just like, it's crazy. Oh man, it's just a very different like lifestyle here. And my girl, she's moving here, and she even points it out. She's like, when I'm in Houston, it's like everywhere I go, I'm the prettiest girl there.
Yep.
She's like, when I'm here, I look around and I'm like, holy crap! Like I see to me, she's still prettier than all of them. But like when she's here, she's just like, oh man, this is so crazy that. But at the same time, she's like, I feel like these are my people too.
Yeah.
I feel like these are my people. And you mentioned that before. I think when you were talking about with Gina, you're like, these are my people. Like I feel like you can be a very attractive woman. Let me point something else out. there's this trope that I get from a lot of guys, especially guys, manosphere, red pill guys, that all of you have daddy issues. No, and I found that there's no real. I have not found that to be true at all. I found that the likelihood of you having a daddy issue is just as likely as the general population. What I found though is that a lot of times, like you said before, it's the path of becoming the most physically attractive version of yourself that becomes this like nuclear arms race. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And some girls lose it with the 1800 cc boob job. Mm-hmm. Some girls lose it with the massive BBL. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of goes overboard.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but just going back to what you're saying before, I just think it's interesting your interpretation of what it's like here in Vegas.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, yeah, you go somewhere else, it's way more relaxed. I think too, like what I said, just with us girls, we all dress up for each other, and yeah, it's definitely different. Even the caliber of the stores and stuff out here, like what we're exposed to, what we have available to us, it's not how it is in, the Upper East or something like that. It's just completely different stuff.
They've got everything here.
Yeah.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you go to Crystal's or if you go to like fashion show, they have everything here. All right. Can you talk about Ramiro? Ramiro manages Chloe, and like how did you get it hooked up with him, and what has that changed for you in your life?
Yeah. So he was in the crowd at the pageant that I did. And yeah, so he reached out to me. He was like, you and Amy Rebecca, I don't know if you know her. She's another Playboy model. He's like, you guys kind of have a similar look. He's like, we're looking for more girls with your look, with the light eyes, with the dark hair. So he signed me on. He's been amazing. He does all my bookings, everything like that. He's really cool. And we have a pretty good roster of girls and stuff. And I trust him more than anything.
It's Somnium. And that's his.
Somnium,
okay, that's his thing.
Yep, and Ramiro Productions.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and he's great. So.
What video games were you? So, but the term Battle Sky your nickname comes from your video game handle. What video games were you into? Were you on Twitch? What were you doing there?
Oh gosh, I was on everything. Pretty much any platform you could ever imagine.
Do you Twitch stream now?
I do not.
Okay.
No.
I've been saying this forever. If one girl would just spend a year to really get good at Madden, because there are a couple of female Madden Twitch streamers, but they're not that good at the game and they're not pretty. If one girl would try to do that, I think that it would take off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because Madden's, I think, is the hardest game to learn. But yeah, anyway, go ahead. So what were you playing?
Pretty much everything. Oh, I loved like Grand Theft Auto, Halo, any of those games that were interactive where I could have a little podcast on, a little headset and be talking back and forth. But yeah, so I started off with that, and then I auditioned to be Katana at Comic-Con one year, and then Lara Croft another year. And that was kind of the start of doing modeling in the first place. And it was because I had a good following with that whole realm. Yeah. And that's kind of where I started. So it was great.
Isn't it funny how they've changed Lara Croft now?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Lara Croft is like sort of like she looks like an English professor from Stanford now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they changed all the characters.
But she's like got stringy arms, and she doesn't look like the new Lara Croft on the video games. She doesn't look like she goes to the gym. She's very pretty, very plain looking.
Look at Lola Bunny now.
Yeah? Well, for which one?
Have you seen the new Lola Bunny?
No.
That was every guy's crush when they were younger. Lola Bunny, she was all voluptuous, tiny body. Now Lola Bunny looks like every other girl.
So for those of you who are not old enough to remember, in the 90s, the first Lara Croft Tomb Raider video games, like Lara Croft had ridiculously big boobs, and she would carry two pistols at the same time, and she could do backflips and kick the shit out of anybody. The new Lara Croft now, she's like waif thin, like super skinny, very plain looking, but she can still kill men with her bare hands. And she's still a crack shot. So it's very different, like how that whole thing has changed. But yeah, that part was interesting. And then in Comic-Con, what is that reaction like?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, there's so many people there.
This is in San Diego. This is the main one in San Diego.
Yeah, there's so many people there. That's what got me the most exposure. You meet so many cool people. And that was when I was like, man, I really want to start doing all this stuff. I always, again, being a girl with 4 brothers, I would always see what my brothers liked. And in my head, I'd be like, oh, I want to be like that. It was always the katana on Mortal Kombat with the big chest and the tiny little body. It was always, I don't know if you know Samus in her,
of course,
her little suit.
Okay, so do you know that for the most part, when the first Metroid comes out in 87, 88, we didn't know Samus was female until the end of the game.
Yes.
So Samus is the main character from the Metroid games.
Yep.
But later on, when they do it on the GameCube, she has a female form. She has a female physique with her helmet. But in the first one, you don't find out to the end that she's female.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But like all the new Metroid games, it was like that before. So you dressed up like her.
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you something. What do you think about this concept? Because we have this debate. I had Rebecca Barrett on a couple days ago, and she was a former feminist. And the concept of like the fact that you like having big boobs and a small waist, there are people out there that don't believe that you truly have the agency to make that decision. And instead, you are only doing so because of, not my words, a patriarchy that is causing you to believe that you should like this.
Oh, that's absolute bullshit. How I feel is that if that's what makes your man happy and that's what he likes looking at, why would you not do it?
Yeah.
I'm all about, you know, whatever, trying to be an independent woman and feminism. But I'll be honest, when you have a good man that's providing, taking care of you, that's strong, that makes you feel safe, you're going to abide by him. Like any alpha female will submit to an alpha male if he's loving you correctly and doing his job right. So if I want to have big ass titties and a small waist, I'm going to fucking do it. Because if that's what he likes, that's what he's going to get. I think it's absolutely ridiculous how many people are fighting against that and nowadays are like, oh, you know, natural this, natural that. I mean, even the direction that Victoria's Secret has gone in now, the fact that the panties, you know, none of us girls can even wear. You get an extra small panty and the crotch is like this long. It's like, who the fuck is wearing that in an extra small? Nobody. And that's why brands like Honey Birdette, where it's more like for bad girls, is starting to, you know, really lift off because they're catering towards the hot girl. They're catering towards the girl that, you know, is taking care of herself. That's a smoke show. I think it's absolute bullshit what's going on in the world today.
Do you know so I did a little bit more research into the whole Victoria's Secret thing because I was like, why would you shoot yourself in the dick like this? This doesn't make a lot of sense. No, so here's the reason why. Go back and watch the Epstein documentary. Turns out the CEO of Victoria's Secret was involved, of M Brands, I believe that's what it was called. He was involved with Epstein.
Okay.
And things went so poorly for him afterwards that they went completely the opposite direction, as woke as they could, in order to like sort of pay penance so that the brand would stay relevant. Does that make sense?
Interesting.
I surmise that's what's going on. Obviously, no one's going to admit to that, but that's kind of what seems like what's going on. I don't mind the inclusivity. That's not a problem to me. What I mind is that you then telling me what I should be attracted to. You don't get to do that.
I'm there with you.
You are absolutely get to tell me about people being disenfranchised and those people needing more inclusivity. I don't have a problem with that. What you don't get to do is tell me what I'm attracted to.
Absolutely.
You don't get to tell me I'm supposed. I like. It's funny because I got a League of Legends guys coming on. You're not supposed. You can't tell me to like League of Legends more than Grand Theft Auto. I like Grand Theft Auto. I'm a Grand Theft Auto guy.
Yeah.
You can't tell me I'm supposed to like soccer more than American football. I like American football. So that's the only issue that I have. And what I feel like is, it's this belief that my heterosexuality, or what I see as attractive as a woman, is somehow some cultural construct that can somehow be morphed by images that I see on television, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah.
Because studies have shown, again, Dr. David Buss, evolutionary psychologist, did a study with 37 different cultures, and several of them, those cultures had no exposure to Western anything. Yeah. No television, movies, or film, no billboards or magazines. And in all 37 cultures, the men preferred women with a 0.72 hip to waist ratio on average, signs of youth and facial symmetry. The women preferred men that were taller than them, not exceptionally tall. They didn't have to be 6 feet tall, but taller than them. In all of these societies, men were more interested in casual sex than women were. So it's these things that I'm supposed to believe that are cultural constructs, turns out exist in every one of these cultures that have nothing to do with each other. That means that these things exist in genetics, not in culture. And so that's very offensive for a lot of people to believe, because they want to believe that the only reason why I'm more, maybe more aggressive than my girlfriend, you know, I want to go tackle people and play video games. The only reason why I want to do that is because of culture. It's not because of the fact that she may have, again, men on average have 17 times as much testosterone as women. It's so funny because the American Psychological Association, when determining the differences between men and women, never point to hormones, ever. Like, hormones are this dirty word. The fact that I
think it's all about hormones.
In that crazy, that's the reason why. The thing is, as a man, if you have 17 times as much testosterone as a woman, what's that going to do? It's going to make you more assertive, more aggressive. It's going to make you have, men on average have about 90% more upper body strength and 50% more lower body strength because of it, and would probably be more interested in casual sex. And if you go look, I don't know if you've ever talked to a girl who's taken anabolic steroids, one of the things I've heard them say, there's been reports of this, they say, I have an insane sex drive when I get on anabolic steroids. An insane sex drive. But the thing is, you don't have an insane sex drive. You have a guy's normal sex drive.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like a woman will get her total test up to 700, maybe 400, something like that. Whereas a guy who's 19 is at 970.
Absolutely.
And all he's thinking about is just sex, sex, sex. And then this is the first time she's ever experienced it. And she's like, wow, I would consider having sex with random people. I was like, that's what it's like for a dude at 7 days a week.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. No, I mean, I totally agree with you. Obviously, I take supplements and stuff. And yeah, it definitely switches up your sex drive. It's also going back to the whole Western thing you were saying too, when, you know, women are saying, oh, I love the dad bod and, oh, it's great. Oh, I don't care. Shut the fuck up. Nobody likes the dad bod. I'm so sick of that whole theory. Nobody does. Get your ass in the gym. Take care of yourself. Like, that's what we want. It's primal, something genetic, hormonally inside you. Like what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
When you see a man with traps, forearms, a man that's just exuding like masculine energy, you're like, I want to fuck him. When he's feminine, beta, just like, oh, just, you know, I don't even know what he's doing. You're like, no. That does not get me going. That does not make me want to fuck you. I mean, it's fundamentals from back in the day. And I don't know why, as a society, we've bridged so far off of it. I mean, I feel like we had it right back in the Native American times.
Because it's not fair. That's why.
It's bullshit.
It's not equal. It's not fair. So the difference is, like, if you read the U.S. Constitution, it says you're endowed by your creator the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not happiness. You are allowed the pursuit of happiness, meaning on the starting line, we should have equality, but at the finish line, meaning the equality of outcomes, we're not going to have equality. This is the reason why some people feel like it's unfair that you would have an easier time winning a bikini competition, or back in like 1995, getting hired at Hooters, because that used to be a big thing back then, but not anymore. But like back then, more attractive women would get hired, or today getting hired at Wet Republic or Tao Beach.
Yeah.
Those things are harder to get jobs at. And so other women would be like, well, you're discriminating me because of my physical appearance. But like the thing is, I don't go to the NBA and be like, hey, listen, why can't I play power forward for the fucking Lakers? Because I'm not 6'8" and I don't have a 42-inch vertical. I don't then sue them on a class action lawsuit for discrimination. I can't do the things that the job requires. Yeah. And that's the reason why that whole thing happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's really interesting. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to invite you on their podcast after what you just said. I think that's a really interesting. No, about the alpha and beta, and that is.
No, I mean, we talk about it all the time. I think that the stuff that you talk about in your podcast is perfect because you are sticking to your guns and you're going on that straight and narrow line. Like you've got it down. I mean, someone that I adore too, who I think is such a great person, Steve Fowler, with all of his Babes in Toyland events. I mean, they're phenomenal. The men and the people that come out to those events are absolutely amazing. I mean, they're masculine, they're alpha male. Like, I just think that now, today, in society and the way that things are, we're just catering towards all the beta people. And I think that the further we get away from that, the further that, you know, we'll have this unity of male and female. I think that's why so many marriages and stuff are falling apart too. There's not a balance.
Androgyny, yeah, got it.
There's not a balance.
So what I try to do, because there's a lot of outraged people out there who throw out the red meat, is I really try to stick to the science. And if a man wants to be effeminate, if a heterosexual man thinks that doing that, I got this thing from Rebecca Barrett, and it was called transmaxing. And it's basically these men who go online and they dress up like women so that they can have more sex with women. Madness, but I've seen it before. If they want to do that, that's fine. I had a debate with Ruslan on the Purple Pill podcast, and he and I were debating the how religion fits in with dating and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things he said that I completely agree with, he goes, I can't change the entire world, but I am going to raise my kids a certain way, and they're going to look like fucking superheroes. He didn't say fucking. Go. Obviously, he doesn't cuss.
Let's go.
They're going to look like superheroes compared to the average people in the future. I have a coaching program. My coaching program is not Martin Luther King speaking on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. I can't change the world. My coaching program is Noah's Ark. A couple of y'all get to come on, and the rest of you, I'm sorry, we're going to watch the demise happen, because throughout history, the Overton window, meaning what we find acceptable, always shifts to the left. And in a lot of cases, it's a good thing. Like, for instance, I think the persecution of people, gay marriage 40 years ago was ridiculous. You don't lynch people or kill people because the gay people want to get married. It's ridiculous. That's shit that they do in Iran. The thing is, the Overton window in 1982, if you said, hey, I'd like to propose a gay marriage act for federal protection for gay marriage, you get laughed, or 1962, you get laughed off the pulpit. You do that in 2023, you come out there and say, I'd like to get rid of gay marriage, federal protections on gay marriage, unless you're Clarence Thomas, which is he's actually said this, but unless you're Clarence Thomas, you're going to get laughed off the pulpit. The Overton window on that and say marijuana, that's changed 180 degrees. But things tend to shift to the left. I don't think the world's going back to the way that it was. So a few of us get to live in neighborhoods together, and we get to raise our kids a certain way.
Yeah.
And they're going to look like fucking superheroes. That's the way. That's the way I see it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
My kid's gonna go to college already being able to read and already knowing how to do calculus.
That's what I mean, again, going back to my father, not to say on the podcast, but, you know, he had all my brothers on HGH at such a young age. So he was shooting them up with HGH when they were maybe like 16. So, you know, they're all massive. They're like 6'4", ripped, you know, so it's like that whole vision that my dad had, like my men, like my sons, they're going to be like an army, you know what I'm saying? So it definitely sets the bar high, and being myself who I am, then that's what you go out and look for, you know?
On your social media, what, from an analytics standpoint, say there's a new model who's watching this, which things hit the most? We had Brandy Andrews on here, and she was talking about when she would do certain stuff on her OnlyFans. Once she started doing the girlfriend experience, then things really took off for her. What things for you did you think were going to work and didn't work, and what things for you like actually worked the most? Anything you're surprised about, the no makeup photos or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was putting so much money and time into photo shoot after photo shoot. I was going to these big, huge, like the Dollhouse events and these huge photo shoot kickoffs where you'd have, you know, 10, 20, 30 photographers there, and I'd be shooting. It's such great exposure. It was absolutely amazing. And I'd get all this content, and then I'd go and sell it on my fan club, and it really came back around. But at the end of the day, the thing that really popped off was like just the simple mirror selfie.
Yeah. Isn't it funny?
Yeah. The one in the bathroom where, you know, your audience just sees you in a more natural state, or they feel like they're a part of your world. That's pretty much where I get the biggest hits.
I was seeing that with Lindsay Palas and Emily Sears. A lot of 3/4 pose mirror shots, like you said before. So I thought that was really interesting. And then the thing that CJ Sparks and Brandy Andrews told me was a lot of stuff without makeup.
Yeah.
Do you know Pearly Things is? Just Pearly Things?
No.
So this girl, she wears no makeup. She hosts a show with a bunch of men and women. She wears no makeup, and she doesn't even wash her hair. And at first I was like, this seems like this might be a mistake. But like she's so short of criticism because guys can't call her fake. She doesn't have anything. She hasn't done anything. This is just who she is. And I think it's kind of a brilliant marketing thing that she's doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every man wants to see you on your fan club. 1 in glasses and 2 without makeup.
Without makeup?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. But yeah, I'm telling you, I was spending so much time and money into all these photo shoots. And now I've gotten to a point where I don't have to pay anything. People want to work with me. And thank God from all the hard work I did. But, you know, the men, they just want the simple thing. And I think that's, again, because we're in a, you know, out here in Las Vegas, we're in such a realm where everything is so fake and overdone that if you find a girl, say, for instance, like your girl, from what I've seen, that's more natural and just has kind of that glow, and she's just kind of like a little angelic. That's what you want, because you can't find it out here.
So it's her nose. She doesn't have a nose job, but everyone thinks she has a nose job. And she talks so much shit. She's like, it's my fucking nose. It's so funny.
Yeah.
No, it really is her nose. Yeah, it's funny. So you're doing this. I'm curious, since the pandemic, where would you say you don't have to give actual numbers, but as a percentage, where does most of your income come from? Are you getting paid to do shoots? Is it from premium sites? Where would you say it comes from?
It's from my fan club. Yeah, for sure.
Do you have several? Do you on ManyVids, Fansly, all these different places, or like what? Do you just have 1 or 2?
I have a fan club with my agency, so I've been on that.
They built their own.
They built their own.
Okay.
So every model on the agency, when you sign on, you get this fan club. So you go through the agency, and that's where I've been making all my money. I recently, though, just started an OnlyFans.
Yeah. That's what Holly, I forgot her name.
Barker?
No, not the different Holly. Holly Barker is awesome, too. She's the Canadian model. She's a fitness model. She used to own a bunch of gyms in Canada, in Kelowna, before she moved to the States. Holly Saunders, the one who's dating Oscar De La Hoya. She was making a significant amount of money. I won't say how much, a lot of money on her personal site. And I think she also switched over. I'm not positive, but I think she also did both. But yeah, a lot of these girls would build their own funnels and do their own personal site. The thing you lose with that is the networking effect, where you can collab with other people on OF.
You just hit the nail on the head, and that is why I just made an OnlyFans. Yeah,
it's the collab where you can share audience. You know, there is a problem, not a problem, But there's a moral quandary that comes with that. And that is, I know, and I don't think this is an issue for you, but like, I know there's certain situations where you'll have a couple or you'll have a guy and they'll be like, hey, you know, I know you have a boyfriend, but if you film with us on our OnlyFans, you'll make 80 grand. You know, if you just film with us one time. And I've seen that happen before where girls are like in relationships and like, man, I'm gonna go have sex with this couple for money. I've seen that happen. The other thing that I've seen happen a few times here and in some other places is guys will buy a following and then go to girls, be like, hey, film with me on my OF.
Oh gosh, yes. Yes, that's a huge thing.
You've heard about this story?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's odd.
They'll buy a blue check mark.
Yes.
They'll buy an OF following. They'll buy an Instagram following. And then they'll tell girls, if you have sex with me on my OF, you'll get a bunch of subscribers. And by the third time they've had sex with them on their OF, they're like, I have no new subscribers, but who are you going to tell? It's like getting robbed by a fucking crack dealer. Like,
Absolutely.
It's like drug dealers getting robbed. They can't go to the cops. Like, who are you going to tell? You fucked a guy for his OF and then you didn't get any followers.
Absolutely.
And so it continues to perpetuate because nobody snitches on the dude.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And if you're a guy and you snitch on him, it's even worse because nobody will listen to you. That's one thing that I've noticed is that when guys go to a girl that I'm dating and start saying, don't go out with Michael, he's with too many fucking girls, don't go out with this, it makes the girl more attracted to me. So I don't mind it at all. When dudes snitch, it doesn't work. Women can snitch. Men cannot. When men snitch, you just look bad. Why are you so concerned with another man's penis? That's what happens. That's why, even though I know these dudes are doing it, I won't say their names out loud because as soon as I do, then you understand what I'm saying? But it's just something that I've had numerous girls come to me and be like, yeah, fuck so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And I wish he'd take my shit down, but he won't. And blah, blah, blah. He was lying about this. And it's just crazy.
I'm not surprised at all. That's why I only like do content with girls.
Yeah.
You know, I think that I think there's so many guys out there like that. But again, I think it's that whole reality that so many people, you know, they're flexing with all this stuff that they've got when they really don't have anything, especially out here. I mean, you'll have girls and guys that it looks like their whole entire world is put together and you think that they're driving in Ferraris and Lambos and then you find out it's not even their car and they can't even like put a down payment on a house. You know, and it's just the world that we live in now, or their credit score is like 400. I mean, that's what just happened, you know, with my ex. He looks like this crazy musician superstar.
This is the ex after the North Carolina.
Yep.
The one I met this guy.
Yes. You think that he has his life together, and it's like this person is a mess, you know. And I think that's kind of how the culture that is out here is that everyone is trying to put on this, you know, illusionary image of themselves when at the end of the day, they're just not anything, you know?
Yeah, it is interesting, right?
Yeah.
That you can, you know, I love that picture of Bill Gates talking to Warren Buffett and they're like, they're like $480 billion and not a Gucci belt anywhere in sight.
Absolutely.
There's a great book for those of you who want to get out of this mindset because it's a terrible mindset to be in. This consumerism mindset to try to look rich rather than be rich. There's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. The most common car that millionaires drive, you know what it is?
No.
It's a Ford F-150 because that truck gets shit done, right?
Hell yeah.
Most millionaires don't have a single suit that they bought over $500. Not one. Most millionaires don't have a single watch that's over $1,000. Most of them. And it's crazy because you're here and it's funny because you're sitting next to a guy who just spent $15K on a bottle, but he's not worth 400 grand, period. Yes. And he's spending money that he's got really quick. And you're confused and you think that the guy who's got the new shoes every week is the one that you need to be around. Most guys that I know that are uber successful, I'm talking $1 million a month, they might have their dream car, but it might not be a Lamborghini. It's just like a nice Porsche or something like that. Yeah. They can take their friends around. They go on vacation a couple times a year and they have the stuff they want and eat where they want, but it's not consistent extravagance.
Yes.
And because that's how really wealthy people function. They did things to get their wealth and to maintain their wealth. Whereas other people are so concerned with spending that wealth and showing the wealth in order to get that to work out. And so it's just really, it's a really interesting dichotomy that happens. What are you doing with that? Like, there's always interesting. I know why a man has a Lambo. You're trying to pull a girl. That makes sense to me. Yeah. I don't know why a girl has a $40,000 Birkin. I don't get that. Do you get more penis from the $40,000 Birkin? What does the $40,000 Birkin get you? Does it accrue interest? What does it got? It just never made sense to me.
I have no clue.
Yeah, wrong person to ask. Got it. Your favorite places to shoot. You said you're a big fan of Brazil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about your favorite places to shoot and why.
I absolutely love Rio.
Yeah.
That was pretty beautiful.
They think you're their people.
Absolutely.
They think you speak Portuguese.
Absolutely. They think. Yeah, I feel like that's most of my following.
And
Is
you're actually Austrian and Italian and
Yes.
Middle Eastern, right?
Yes.
But they think you're Brazilian.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the same thing
no.
with me when I meet Mexicans. They think that I get the same issue. Anyway, go ahead.
I love it. Yeah, I love Sao Paulo. I just love the Brazilian culture. The teeny little bikinis. Again, I feel like they're still kind of back in like the 80s with that whole vibe with women. You know, I really like that. Again, they're still stuck in that time frame, whereas out here in America, we are, you know, branching into our whole new, you know, fully covered bikinis. And, you know, I was just in the airport the other day with my brothers, and there was this girl walking around, and she had these big, huge pants on, you know, the huge wide leg and super saggy, and this like grandma sweater. And my one brother was like, you know, he's like, who wants to fuck that? And I was like, whoa. And he's like, why are those the trends? Like, does anyone think that like you'd see a girl in those pants and be like, damn, I want to fuck her? And I'm like, God, it's just men are so much easier like than women. Like, yeah, like I agree with you. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, the deviation of what men find attractive is very narrow.
Yeah.
There's very few things that men find attractive. There's not even 10.
Yeah.
For women, there's infinite numbers of reasons. There's a book by Cindy Meston and David Buss called Why Women Have Sex. There's 237 reasons why women have sex in the book. And they're not saying that those are the only reasons. They're just saying there's the 237 reasons that they found from surveying 17,000 women. Those are the 237 reasons they found. So your ethnicity, how did your Austrian father with blue eyes and blonde hair meet your Italian mother? How did that work out?
My mom went to Columbia.
Okay.
In New York, and then my dad went to Stony Brook.
Okay.
And then my mom ended up going to Stony Brook, like transferring, and then they both met there. And my dad ended up getting pulled out of college to go, and he created like bombs and.
What'd your dad work?
Like,
Is a contractor for the army?
He got privately contracted. He did like underwater submarine missiles.
Okay,
yes.
got it.
Yeah, everything, like creating them. The algorithms when like bombs let off and stuff. He's crazy. Now he does all stuff with Wall Street, but he took all the algorithms and stuff like that he's good at, and then he put it into Wall Street. Yeah, but so my mom, she came from a very affluent family. My grandpa made it really big on Wall Street, and so she had a bunch of money, and my dad was like the poor city boy. And so they both met. And then my grandfather is the one who helped my dad with stocks on Wall Street and then made him into what he is now.
And they could both deadlift 315?
Just my dad.
Just your dad?
My mom's like a little peanut. She's real cute.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And then how'd you end up in North Carolina?
Just because I went out to school there. So both
Chapel
my
Hill?
parents.
Where'd you go?
High Point.
Oh, High
so
Point. Okay.
it's right next to like
Yeah.
Chapel Hill. But so then my dad, he got put out in Virginia, obviously near like the embassy and the White House and stuff like that. And then we go back and forth from Virginia and North Carolina.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
You said something that I thought was interesting. I had a buddy of mine, he's going to Harvard, and we were having this discussion that I didn't realize was true. So you know what botulism toxin is? Botox.
Yes.
It's a toxin that is released from botulism, which was a bacteria that killed millions of people back in the fucking 14th century. But we stick it in our face. And it paralyzes certain muscles, right, which causes you to have fewer wrinkles. And you had made the mention of people getting Botox younger at a younger age, which causes their skin to remain smooth later on. At first, I was like, that doesn't sound right. And then he was like, yeah, no, that is correct. Can you go into that a little bit?
Oh yeah. So the younger you actually get Botox, the less wrinkles that you have in the future. It also helps for your migraines and stuff like that. But yeah, I found that very interesting. Obviously, I'm always looking for ways to stay younger and keep up with the times. But yeah, someone had told me that, and yeah, I think it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about I ask everybody about this who comes on the show. Your concept of monogamy now, has it changed since your first relationship? Do you believe, you understand, this city will strain the normal concepts of monogamy. I've had several couples who come on here and we'll have conversations with them. The couples that I know that last the longest here, there's always like some extra thing involved. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe that traditional monogamy works, or it works but it doesn't work in Vegas, or it does work in Vegas, or you don't believe in traditional monogamy, or you're open to other things? What do you believe?
Gosh, I think monogamy works everywhere else. I think that for some reason, every girl out here in Vegas likes girls. So there's always that factor. I don't think monogamy works out here. I think there's nothing wrong with dating someone and then playing around with other girls. But I feel like that's just a thing that we all do out here. I'm not, I mean, only out here.
I don't know why you preaching to the choir. Keep talking. I'm not.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, yeah, my views have definitely changed. I mean, after you get cheated on a few times, you're like, maybe there's something in this, you know? But I think that it just depends on who you're with too, you know? But I think that if you want your relationship to last, you should experiment with different things. And yeah, it's about being loyal and having intimacy with that other person. You know, he's your king, you're his queen, but I think that there's absolutely nothing wrong with like pulling in other girls or, you know, doing whatever makes you guys happy to keep it last as long as it can.
Where was the transition? Where I imagine you didn't believe this coming out of North Carolina. What was the thing that specifically made you feel differently? So the term you're looking for is polygyny, not polyamory. Mm-hmm. Polygyny. What was the thing that caused you to believe that different? And by the way, we have never had this discussion before. I've never talked to her about this. So the funny that you saying exactly what I agree with is funny. What was the transition? Was it you getting cheated on? Was it that first guy? Was it the set? Was it the musician? What happened?
Gosh, yes, it was probably the first guy being cheated on, but I am no angel myself. So, okay. I mean, that's kind of hard to say, again, coming from 4 brothers and a dad who is an absolute playboy. I myself am not an angel. So, you know, after I was engaged, I just lost it.
So after you broke up the engagement?
Yes.
You just went wild.
I just was like, I'm never going to be hurt by any man ever again. You know, I would be dating 1, 2, 3 people at one time.
You had an exploration year.
Oh, God. Yeah, it was awful. So then, you know, I finally decide, you know, with my ex, like, okay, you know what, I'm going to be good. I'm going to try to, you know, just be with one person. I can do this. Like, promise myself, like, I'm going to be able to do this. I have to do this. And, man, I was in a freaking cage. I felt so suffocated. Even when I was being well-behaved, you know, everything that I was doing, he always thought I was cheating on him.
So his insecurity.
His insecurity,
not suffocated in, because people may misinterpret this, not suffocated in that, oh, I just need strange penis. Yeah. You're suffocated in that he's controlling what it is that you're trying to do all the time. Okay.
Yeah, and then, you know, it's like when you have a guy that's that insecure, he's not only insecure about guys, he's insecure about girls. Like, when you're a hot girl.
That's insanity. That's fucking insanity.
Yeah, when you're a hot girl, you're getting hit on by girls too. So it's like, you know, if I want to have my girlfriend Harper sleep over, it's an issue because, you know, he's insecure even about her. And it's like, well, what's wrong with that if I want to play with her? Or what's wrong with if I have another girlfriend and I want to make out with her because she's hot? Like, I don't know what the problem is. So, you know. That
specifically I cannot speak on for other reasons.
Sorry, I always bring her up.
No, it's fine. You can bring it up as much as you want. No, it's totally fine. Yeah. That's confusing to me. Like, why you'd have a problem with that. Like, I'd never, I would, funny enough, you mentioned her specifically. Mm-hmm. Go out, have a fucking great time with the girl. I'll pay for everything. Just take my credit card. Yep. Just have a fucking blast. Yeah. I wouldn't care at all. I'd never have an issue with my girl. If my girl is seeing another woman, that is almost like 2 different planes of existence, like two-dimensional planes that don't intersect to me. That's always the way I felt it. And it's really interesting when I hear men say specifically this concept of like that. Well, actually, I never hear men say it. It's always the women later on afterwards saying, I was insecure about this. And I'm like, this is the greatest shit ever. Yeah. They're both going to come back and I'm going to sit here and play video games the whole time? Fucking sign me up. Are you kidding me? I'm going to play Madden and you're going to go out and have dinner and then come back, both of you drinking tequila? Let's do this. I'm totally fine. Me and the cats will be here when you get home, honey. We're good. Yeah, so that shit is crazy.
What do you think? I'm just curious.
I mean, I completely agree with you, but I'm biased because it's my show. And like, so the thing is, this is the part that's controversial. Mm-hmm. I don't believe polyamory works for men. I think polyamory works for women. And the reason why is because whenever I see a woman suggest polyamory, meaning both of us have partners outside the relationship, generally it's because the woman has lost, I'm going to say, this is vile the way I say it, but I'm going to say it because it makes the point a little stronger. She has lost respect for his penis. His penis doesn't mean that much to her anymore. And so him putting it in another woman is not that big of a deal because he can't really get anyone because she doesn't see him as a very high status. Mm-hmm. But there's Brock and Alex and Steve over here who she'd like to explore some sexuality.
But that's where the line is. See, that's where I'm weird. I don't want any other dick in me other than my man.
So that's polygyny. So what you're describing is polygyny. So we're starting with polyamory, which is both. Polyamory tends to work for women. I don't ever see polyamory work for men, with one exception. If a man is bisexual, then I think polyamory can be equal if that's the case. A lot of times when you're seeing polyamory, you're seeing a bisexual man who either is unaware that he's bisexual or he is aware and he's just trying to keep it on the DL, and that's why he's so accepting of it. Generally, polyamory is your marriage is somewhat failed, and now we're trying other things. I have a buddy of mine who's he's comfortable with his wife being with other men. It almost never happens, like once every 3 years or whatever, and he calls himself bi-adjacent. He's bi-curious adjacent or whatever. Okay. And so for him, for those people, that's fine. But I think for heterosexual men, it tends to not work. I go to hedonism every year. I remember going there one time. This one guy, Ben, super nice guy, really handsome dude, sitting there. His wife was over here, and they were like, yeah, we're both polyamorous. I hook up with girls, she hooks up with guys, and they were trying to make each other jealous. But watching it, he's barely getting a makeout with one girl. She has 7 dudes ready to put their penis inside of her. That's why polyamory doesn't work for men. It's just like, if you and your man split up, you have 3 orders of magnitude, literally. Like, he has 1 and you have 1,000 of dudes that are trying to get at you and like open to having sex with you. Strictly on a sexual basis, that's the way it is. And then here's the thing, like, you might be saying, well, women don't want to have sex with that many dudes. They want a structural relationship. Well, no, she has a structural relationship. She still has a provider. He's still taking care of her kids. They're still living a home together. She just has sex with other men. That's why I personally believe that polyamory doesn't work for heterosexual men. Polygyny, which is what you're saying. By the way, polyandry is multiple men and 1 woman. And this happens in certain societies where you'll have 2 brothers marry 1 woman because there's just no women there. That doesn't work for anyone. That one is just a disaster for everyone. The one that I've seen work for both men and women is polygyny, which is the concept of, like, not me having sex with other women without you if we're in a couple. We have sex with other women together.
Yes, boom.
Together, right?
Yes, I think that is what
works.
We're
like Hulk Hogan in the fucking Ultimate Warrior. Here we go. I'm gonna slap you in. All right, you go in now. It's your turn. I'll go get the Taco Bell.
No, that's what I think works. I mean, and that's the thing too. It's all about listening to your partner. I mean, I think every man, it's their dream to be with, multiple women. But I think that every girl too, like, has a crush on another girl. But I think, it's just about listening to your partner and what each other wants. And, if you can do it, why the fuck are you not doing it? Like, if your girl can pull other girls because she's that hot, what are you doing? Get after it. I mean, and I guess as a woman, you have to be very secure with yourself. But I mean, it's fun. Life is short. Do what you got to do.
Women are hotter than men. I'm just going to say that right now. To everyone. Women are just hotter than men to everyone. That was really interesting that you say that, because I actually wanted that you should be a coach. I've got to get you an affiliate coach. I swear to God, because the stuff you're saying is just join MOA. Can we talk about the difference specifically dating in Las Vegas? So we talked about the women here and how there's this unique situation where the women have this pressure to, and it's not just the face though. It's a very much, this is a very much a body city, right? Oh, by the way, when I mentioned before, the 0.72 hip to waist ratio for women, it's a 0.165 to 1 shoulder to waist ratio for men. And there's another study that came out. This one, it's going to sound ridiculous when it comes out when I say this, but women have more orgasms when men have broader shoulders. That's what the study says. And so a lot of guys are like, well, I don't naturally have broad shoulders. No, what you do have naturally broad shoulders. What you have is a lot of fat around your waist that you can get. If I do delts, I can maybe get an inch or 2 here. But if I go down to 5% body fat, I can lose 5 inches here. And I get to that point, 1.6 to 1 shoulder to waist ratio. You guys can watch, if you watch Greg Gallagher, if you watch How to Beast, they talk about this specifically, the shoulder to waist ratio. This is a real thing. It's not just some made up thing. So I just thought that was interesting. So now here in Las Vegas, the men are also different.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel like there's 2 different types of men out here. So you have the men that are like the Thors, the Goliaths. They're like over 6 foot. Look like they should be on GQ or Vogue. You have the athletes out here, and then you have the... I
want to point out one thing. There are male strippers who become VIP hosts at nightclubs here. It's very common.
Yes.
It's very... Like, you will go to a nightclub here, one of the top tier nightclubs, and there'll be a 6'3" Australian guy who's like ripped. So he's he dances for Thunder from Down Under, and he's a nightclub host.
Oh yeah, I can't explain how many male escorts are bussers out in the club.
Yeah.
You just never know. And then you see their little photo pop up on what is it, Cowboys and Angels?
I've never seen Cowboys and Angels, but yeah, I believe you.
Yeah, and then you're like, whoa, wait, what? You would have had no clue. But yeah, there's that. And then you had the men that they're more like metro, I would say. Very, very done up. Where I'm from in North Carolina, the men are very manly and they just wake up out of bed, roll out of bed, and they look nice. Out here, you kind of have where men take more care of themselves. They're, doing their eyebrows, gelling their hair, doing whatever they do.
Yeah. I think there's another type of man that lives here, and he is the one that leads and follows with money. It is money followed by money, money, and I get girls because of money. Girls like me because of money, and then more money, 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 money. I see that a little bit. I see it a little bit in Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
I see it more here. Like it's like literally this guy knows one fucking play. It is the money play.
Absolutely.
Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, that's probably the. If you get away from physical attributes, because usually those men, when they are money, 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 they lack in the other department. So their physical attributes and stuff aren't as much as the other guys. But yeah, that's probably the number one man that's out here, I would say. Because the city is driven by money. Yeah. So if you have a man that's coming out here and he's bringing every girl out to dinner, he's taking all the girls on a shopping spree after, he's top of the list at whatever restaurant no one can get into, Delilah or wherever, he's out here.
Yeah, I go to Delilah. They're like, look at me like, you have a black t-shirt on, sir. You look poor. We're not going to let you come in. I'm just kidding. It was really funny. I literally didn't, I was like so intimidated to go there. And then the GM comes up to me and goes, I love your podcast. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Anyway, so the whole thing you said about, go back again. You were talking about the men in the city with the whole money thing.
Yeah.
That is a big thing that people lead with. And then I also think a lot of women move here because they're into that too.
Yeah.
The sugar baby, sugar daddy dynamic is big here. I don't know if you saw the 2020 thing I was just on where we're talking about Kelsey Turner. She murders her sugar daddy.
Oh.
She gets $700,000 from her sugar daddy. The guy pays her and her mom. Comes to break it off. She extorts him. She's like, hey, I'm going to tell everybody. He's a child psychologist. I'm going to tell everybody you touch these little kids. You touch my kids.
Oh, my God.
He's like, he can't stop paying her. He's like, no, I got to stop paying you. Boyfriend comes in with a baseball bat, hits him in the head, takes him to the back seat of the car, beats him to death with a pistol. They take him out to the desert, leave the car there, try to set it on fire. They don't set it on fire. They both get arrested. They both get convicted of second-degree murder like a couple days ago. And 2020 did a story on it. That dynamic is big here, though.
Yeah, dang. With 700,000 not enough? Isn't
that crazy though? $700,000.
Yeah.
And that dynamic is really big here. I know some girls like that's professionally what they do. It's just sugar baby, sugar daddy thing here.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it ties in huge to the modeling world. I mean, to get a little bit raw here, I mean, half the time when you're on a modeling agency or a roster out here, it's just like the way that the sugar daddies can pull you up and see who you are.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. It's just a roster to filter out to older men.
And sometimes I'm not saying with your agency, but sometimes they're the ones sponsoring the destination photo shoot or the mansion party.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to hit on next. Half the time, like especially nowadays, you're seeing girls that are on Playboy, FHM, Maxim, and you're like, what the hell does this girl actually do? Whenever you get that thought that you're like, well, what is she or what's she doing? Usually it's that she has a sugar daddy paying for that. It's either $5,000, it's $3,000, whatever. That's how that person is on that cover.
So the study, or not study, but there's a magazine article about it. Somewhere between $3,500 and I want to say $13,000, somewhere around there. Some of these numbers to get a cover.
Yeah.
And so one of the things, going back to the Kelsey Turner thing, she was on Playboy Italia in 2017, and I was like, yeah, her sugar daddy paid for that. And it was funny because 2020, when they're interviewing me, they don't realize this. They don't understand that because the reason why the story was so popular was because she was a playmate who murdered her sugar daddy. Yeah. And during the interview, I kept stopping them. I'm like, why do you guys keep calling her a playmate? She wasn't nude. It was Playboy Italia, which isn't Playboy United States. She wasn't a fucking centerfold, and she paid for this cover. Like, why are you guys keep calling her this? And they were so obsessed with that term, playmate murders her sugar daddy, that it held up the entire thing, and they still couldn't grasp. No, all of these covers, not all of them, but let's just say Kindly Myers and Chloe Ture aren't going to pay for a cover. Caitlin Runk isn't going to pay for a cover, but the other 10 girls of that year may pay for the cover.
Absolutely.
And it works too. I know one of my very close friends, she's got 4 million followers and a blue check mark now, and it started because her sugar daddy paid for her to get on Maxim and Playboy. So it is just a really interesting dynamic, but so many people don't even realize that's what's going on.
Oh yeah, as soon as you see that it's not in America, it's probably sponsored by someone.
Yeah.
As soon as you see the brands that they're working with are not in America, or, you know, they're out on the yacht, yeah, that's definitely what it is. But I mean, it's like, can't even knock them. Like, you're just making a business move at that point. If that man is wanting to do that, I mean, I don't blame him. I think a lot of men will knock on women that are doing stuff like that, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, well, if you were walking in her shoes, wouldn't you do the same thing?
Well, the issue is, like, this is where I disagree with a lot of manosphere dudes. I blame dudes. Like, I just stop. Like, if you have this problem, then get your fucking brethren to stop simping on OF if that's the problem.
I was just going to say that whole thing where it's like, about OnlyFans, and it's like someone's like, oh, I never date a girl that has an OnlyFans. It's like, well, would a girl on OnlyFans date you? Probably fucking not. Like, so it's like, come on.
It's just like these guys are, like, they complain to me when I say this, but it was Andrew Tate who said this. 99% of men are simps. This is the truth.
Yeah.
If you have an issue with this is just a complex adaptive system, and it's fucking capitalism. If you want this to stop, get these dudes to stop simping on OF.
Yeah.
That would stop this whole thing. Don't blaming the women is ridiculous. It's just like, that part is crazy that they're doing this because this is what they're incentivized to do. And by the way, there's no consequences for it either. I had Rebecca Barrett on here a couple days ago, and she had made the statement before. She's like, girls don't get on OnlyFans because this stays online forever. And I was like, stays online forever? You mean like when Jordan Belfort fucked all those prostitutes, snorted a bunch of fucking Quaaludes and did a bunch of cocaine and went to jail for 15 months for securities fraud, and now he's like the most famous salesman in the country?
Yeah.
You mean when General or Colonel Oliver North aided in the fucking Iran-Contra affair, and then he's a correspondent on Fox News? Or how about the reality TV star who fucking filed for 3 bankruptcies? Fucked a porn star while his wife is pregnant. We elected him to become president of the United States. Nobody pays for shit. Nobody pays for shit. And so this is the determination I came up. The reason why the Overton window is shifting to the left, and the reason why people are acting the way they want with less accountability is because there's fewer consequences. We have not become less moral. There's just no one telling us to stop. There's no one slapping our hand.
You're right.
When we say stupid shit online, no one makes us pay for it. Even those of you who think like Alex Jones, he was canceled. Alex Jones is on InfoWars right now. Go on InfoWars right now. You can watch him. Canceled. Alex Jones makes hundreds of millions a year. He's fine. Don't worry about Alex Jones. This idea that we're no, that's not how this works. It's just one of these things nobody pays. Again, Logan Paul, walk into a forest, dead body. Canceled on YouTube. Does one fight with KSI, 19 million subscribers on fucking YouTube.
Yep.
Multimillionaire, one of the biggest podcasts in the country. No one pays for anything. You know, Caitlyn Jenner goes up, runs off, kills a guy, involuntary manslaughter, runs somebody into oncoming traffic, kills him, runs into a second person. 4 months later, Woman of the Year. Woman of the Year. Like, just stop telling me. Stop telling me. Like, I remember it was Lana Rhoades and Mia Khalifa, and someone was saying like, yeah, nobody is going to want their kids to go to school with Lana Rhoades. I'm like, no, Lana Rhoades will be the head of the PTA. I disagree with you completely. I think we're going to have, I'm not saying this is a good thing. I think we're going to have political candidates, you know, who are like huge OF stars very soon. I just don't, because I've said this before. I think Tucci Cash is going to be the mayor. Because she makes more money than anybody. Tucci Cash makes more than anybody in this fucking city. She's going to be mayor someday. And so I think when you come to that realization, the change is happening because the world is not, we're pushing and the world's not pushing back.
Yeah.
We just post whatever we want and nobody's stopping us. See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And we're showing whatever we want and nobody's stopping us. I think that's the other thing that's happening.
Yeah, it doesn't prohibit you from getting a job anymore. Or
it's exactly my point. Yeah. In 1985, if you did Playboy, that was it. You were a Playboy model for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do anything outside of that. Holly Madison talked about this before. She's like, girls would come and they live with Hef, and when they left, they all turned into prostitutes and they would all get up on drugs. And so the girls were so afraid of leaving Hef because once they left, they thought that they were doomed to that lifestyle. And I do think that there was some reality to that in 85 and 95. Now I don't think so at all. I legitimately think
so
I think you'd be the mayor of your city and you fuck on OF. Like, nobody cares anymore. And I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying, like, tell me I'm wrong. Like, call me out and say, Michael, you're wrong about this thing, and then I'll show you that I'm not. So here's the thing. You also said you're a big reader.
Oh yeah.
Do you read a lot? What do you read?
Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah.
I see that you have down there. I love any kind of like self-help books.
Okay.
Or books on psychology. I was just reading one too, a book about lust and like on hormones.
Okay.
Rational
Hormonal?
empathy. Yeah, hormonal
Have
books.
you read, no, the book's called Hormonal. Have you read The
Oh.
Rational Male? Have you read any of David Buss's books? No? I'd highly
No, but
recommend
I've
Buss's.
looked into them though.
Yeah, Buss's books and Gad Sad's books are really good. Pinker's are really long. Stephen Pinker's books are really long.
Yeah.
The book right there, The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins, that one is good, but it's evolutionary biology. It's not evolutionary psychology. Yeah, if you ever want any psychology books, I can give you 50.
I love
to
them.
read. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's this one that I've been reading. It's called Emotional Apathy.
Okay.
And it's the differences between men and women. So it's saying how men are more rational thinkers. So you make more logical choices, whereas as women, we're more irrational thinkers. So we make our choices based off emotion, which I found very interesting.
Ronald Reagan had a saying one time. He said, Democrats aren't wrong. They just believe in too many things that aren't true. That's the way he said it. Okay, that was Ronald Reagan saying that. And the thing is, so if you look, I just finished The Curse of the High IQ by Aaron Clarey. I finished it last night. And one of the things he talks about is, as far as a distribution is concerned, men and women have the same IQ. But more women fit in the middle of the distribution and more men fit on the outside parts of the distribution. Meaning the dumbest person alive right now, the dumbest people alive right now are men. The smartest people alive right now are men. What happens is, and as you go out further and further in the distribution, as far as intelligence is concerned, when you're in the middle of the distribution, there's more intelligent women than men. When you go out to the far ends, like your 145 IQ, there's like 2 men for every woman, according to this, like these surveys of IQ. And it's really interesting that the way that whole thing works.
Yeah.
So do you read any like James S.A. Corey? Do you ever read George Martin or George R. R. Martin? Nothing like that?
Send him over.
Okay.
Love reading.
My favorite self-help book is The One Thing by Gary Keller from Keller Williams Realty.
Yeah.
It's like no multitasking. Everything is just one thing at a time. Yeah. You also speak French?
Yeah.
So how did that work out?
I started very young. We had children that were living across from us, and I would actually teach them French lessons. I used to date someone too that was from France. So then I kind of learned even more. Every time we go to the grocery store and stuff, he just speaks to me in French. So I started learning all the like pasta and everything. Yeah. Nice.
And the other thing you were talking about, because you talking about this with Gina, are different conspiracies.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I do. I debunk conspiracies. That's one of the big things. What are some conspiracies that you believe in?
That I believe in? This is an awful one. I don't know if this is really conspiracy, but I feel like the whole last election was definitely rigged.
Interesting. So here's the thing. The issues that I'm not going to disagree with you or agree with you is that the Republicans gained 15 seats in the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
So how did they gain the 15 seats if the
I guess
election was rigged?
Not the last one, like the last presidential election.
Yeah, no. During that presidential election, the Republicans gained 15 seats in the House and the Senate. So the problem is those voting machines somehow weren't working for the senatorial and congressional candidates.
I see what you're saying.
But they were working for the president. My whole issue is this: like, what do I think that there's cheating going on? Yes, but the problem is it's with both parties. And if there is cheating, this idea that Joe Biden is like, okay, guys, I need you here in Secaucus, New Jersey doing the, no, he wouldn't know fucking anything. He barely knows fucking anything now.
Oh, yeah.
He's 80. So the idea that Donald Trump would then somehow be different, like there wouldn't be cheating on his behalf as well, to me, it just seems a little bit short-sighted that there wouldn't be. But again, the number one thing is, why did the Republicans gain 15 seats in the House and the Senate if the whole thing was stolen? I have a friend of mine. She 100%. She's like, yeah, nobody voted for Biden. I was like, nobody? I was like, so I understand it was like 73 million to like 76 million. I forgot exactly what the numbers were. But you think that 75 million people voted for Trump and no one voted for Biden?
No way, that's not realistic. No, that's
I was
not.
like, really? That's crazy. She's like, no one voted for Biden. Absolutely zero people voted. I was like, I don't know if that's true.
I just don't know how, as a country, we could, especially what's going on now, like with the last election, we look at how things were going to be. I just don't know how, as a country, we could be like, oh, this is the right choice for America. Even like today, I just sold my Hummer. Like, I was spending like ridiculous amounts of money on gas each week. You go to the grocery store nowadays, you can't even get half the produce that you want. It just, times have changed so much. So I don't know how, as Americans, anyone could be sitting there right now being like, yes, we made the right choice. You know what I mean?
I think it only matters in November of 2020 though, right? So so what did they believe then?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them had believed enough rhetoric, rightfully or wrongfully, that they didn't want Trump. And it's because nobody after the election was like, you know what I'm super excited about today? Joe fucking Biden. Nobody. I don't care who you are. I don't care how politically progressive you are. None of you right now, even I don't care how much you hate Donald Trump, woke up this morning with a fucking erection for Joe Biden. None of you. You are lying. No one is a Joe Biden fan. His family doesn't even like him. You're just ridiculous. Is this motherfucker from Scranton or is he from New Jersey? I don't know. Do you know what state he's from? Delaware. No one even knows. Delaware. No one even fucking knew. Who knew Delaware, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I understand why they voted for him. I do. I didn't vote for either one of them because I think we don't need 75-year-old men in the White House to start with.
Yeah.
Both of them with sexual assault allegations and both of them who've made racist comments. I would prefer to have somebody else be president of the United States. But the whole situation with Biden, I understood it was anybody but Trump.
Yeah.
That made sense to me. I understood. There was a couple of things that Trump did that I thought alienated him. The whole thing in, was it South Carolina where there was that guy who drives through that crowd and kills some people. Yeah. And they said, hey, President, do you want to denounce what these white nationalists did? And he goes, yeah, there are bad people on both sides. I'm like, you're the incumbent president. You're the incumbent. I don't care what you actually believe. You need to speak to the middle. You already won. Your party has nominated you. Speak to the middle. When you say both sides did something, no, the motherfucker who flew in the air when he got hit by a car didn't do anything bad.
Yeah.
So I thought that's kind of where he lost it. So I don't know. Was it stolen? I don't know if it's stolen. I do understand why people voted for Joe Biden though. I didn't vote for him, but I understand why people did.
Yeah.
That made sense to me. But like nobody wakes up in the morning. It's like, man, you know what? 44 years of fucking being a politician. Joe Biden, let's do it. How can I get some more? This motherfucker greased so many hands. You know what happened like at the end? It's like this guy has just been greasing palms for 45 years. Yeah. And at the end, he was like, all right, bitches, it's my turn. You remember when I did that for you and I did that for you and the House Select Committee on Intelligence and I did this for you and I got you that appointee and I got you that funding and you remember that and this motherfucker here. And he pointed at 75 motherfuckers and he was like, you're going to make me president. And they did it. That's what happened. That is essentially what happened. It's like all the favors he'd called in for 50 years. That's what happened. Yeah. I think that's what happened. Any other conspiracies? I love talking about conspiracies.
I don't know. You go with one.
We did land on the moon in 1969. Very provable. Easily provable. There's a fucking retro reflector up there. You can shine a beam up there, get it back in 2.2 seconds. There's video of the lander landing. There's like these wave patterns that are only possible in a fucking vacuum. Nobody researches this. Everybody believes in this Van Allen nonsense. I debate with flat earthers all the time. That's another one that's crazy. There's another survey they did with 60,000 kids, something like that had not been vaccinated, and 60,000 kids who had been vaccinated, they had the exact same levels of autism. Autism is not caused by vaccinations. There's just stuff like that where there's like easily provable stuff that I still get into arguments with people about. But no. Then the other one that I'm big on is the Kennedy assassination. Yeah, I could have made that shot.
Oh yeah, I think he got assassinated for sure.
Yeah, no. The idea that one guy couldn't have made that shot, it was pretty easy. So it's funny you mentioned the thing about this coil in your spine. John F. Kennedy had a back brace on, and when he gets shot in the neck, his head goes back like this, and everyone's like, "Oh, do you see how the head goes back into the right? It's because he got shot in the front." And I'm like, "No, that's not what happened." So those are one. Here's another thing. My favorite movie of all time that I watched with, I believe, someone who stayed at your apartment that you mentioned before, is Interstellar.
That's one of my favorite movies,
too. Yes.
Yeah.
But I do think you got the president's reaction incorrect because you said that the president wanted them to die. The president, it wasn't John Cleese. I forgot who the actor was who played, who was head of that science department. So what happened was there was a blight which was eating all the nitrogen in the atmosphere, which was causing plants to not be able to grow. So all the humans were going to die anyway. Yeah. And they were trying to figure out a way to manipulate gravity in order for them to be able to go out and become an interstellar, space-faring culture. And they couldn't do it. But then they accidentally did it because they were able to send information back in time. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's what happened. I don't think they were deliberately trying to kill people.
Okay. No, I totally see that.
Yeah, but you said, like in the other interview, you were saying that. I was like, no, it wasn't really population control. Like that's essentially what was going on. This is one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah. I absolutely love it too.
Yeah, it's really good. The soundtrack for that is unbelievable. It really is good.
Absolutely fire.
So let me ask you. So somebody moves here, or wants to become a model. The number one thing when they ask these kids now, what do you want to become? They don't want to become a doctor, an astronaut. They want to become an influencer. Yeah. What advice would you give for someone starting, an attractive woman, starting in this field?
To become an influencer, oh gosh, you gotta 24/7 be working and reaching out to people. I mean, for me, it just stopped maybe 2 years ago, I would stay up until maybe about like 4 a.m. every single night. I'd come home from work and then I'd just sit on my computer and I'd
You're
reach
editing?
out to
Or you're
yeah,
people?
everything, like reaching out to brands. I'd be selecting my photos, working on my fan club, doing everything back and forth. It never stops. It's like a 24/7 thing. It doesn't just land in your lap. So I think too, it's about just meeting the right people and going to events where you meet people that want to support you, and really finding like your niche. Like I would never go out there in couture dresses, like with, fancy bowed heels on. That's not what I am. I'm known to be a bad girl. So I'm going to be wearing all the dark stuff, all the leather jackets. I'm going to be having a snapback on because that's what people like from me. So I think too, it's about really knowing yourself and finding out what works for you and what your audience likes from you. And my manager really pushed me with that because, before I was a little bit more innocent, and then he was the one that was like, you know what, we don't have anyone on the agency that's more of like a bad girl. You should really run with it. And
No,
ever
they,
since
they,
I have,
they do. It's just Chloe doesn't look like that.
No.
Chloe will fuck you up. Chloe will stab you. And let me tell you right now, if she's up there watching, I love you, Chloe, but Chloe will not. Chloe suffers no fools.
Yeah. But I mean, just whatever look you got, just run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The other thing I was going to ask you is, I ask a lot of people this because there's like a lot of misconceptions when it comes to this. Different studies. One of them shows that 20% of people right now are meeting on dating apps. So that doesn't include Instagram, even though to me, Instagram is the biggest dating app in the world that there is. Something else, we didn't mention this before. You were talking about how women like women, right?
Yeah.
There's a great book about this. It's the CTO of eHarmony wrote a book called Dataclysm.
Yeah.
And in the book, they go over bisexual men who claim to be bisexual and women who claim to be bisexual in dating apps. And they also go over things like, for instance, when women say they date any race, they don't. They tend to pick one race or two races and stick to them.
Yeah.
When men say they date any race, they do. They will fuck whatever's in front of them. When women say, however, that they're bisexual, they will message male accounts and they will message female accounts. When men say that they're bisexual, 98% of them will only message male accounts. 2% of them message female accounts and male accounts. So what it would indicate from this, and this is not a scientific survey, but is that heterosexuality is more of a spectrum for women and more binary for men. So I just wanted to clarify that there are some kind of studies. And the reason why I think it is because for men, our heterosexuality is tied into our masculinity.
Yeah.
But your heterosexuality is not tied into your femininity.
No, absolutely not. We're way more freeform.
Yeah. But you don't even get looked down on. Like if you're a completely straight woman and you're having a birthday cake and you guys are drinking champagne and your best friend kisses you on the mouth, like nobody looks at it weird. So if that happened to me at my birthday, we're like, John, get the fuck back. What are you doing?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Plus, I think with girls, we're more open to other girls, you know? Exactly what you're saying. You push them back. Like if I'm a girl and I have some hot girl that, is trying to hit on me, I'm like, ooh, I get a rise out of it. It's like, again, what I said, like to my man, like not only are men hitting on me, but this woman wants me too. Like, hell yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
Meanwhile, I'm behind you like, go.
Yeah.
Go do that.
I definitely reach out to a girl too. Like if I have a crush on her, hell yeah. Like I'll be the one reaching out to her and bringing her home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think, there's just fine lines like that. So.
All right. So going back to the question.
Yeah.
20% about are meeting each other through dating apps.
Yeah.
There's an additional 20% that are meeting through social media. I actually think the more attractive a woman is, those 20 and 20 become bigger, or rather the dating app becomes smaller. Really attractive women are not on dating apps.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you guys, when you see the really attractive woman on the dating app, she's trying to get you to subscribe to her OnlyFans. That's what you're saying. Or it's a quid pro quo prostitute. Really attractive women are on dating apps for 15 minutes. They end up going out with Brock the bartender and they're fucking done with it after like one experience. I'm just sorry to be, I know a lot of you guys are having a hard time because I used to say Chad Thundercock all the time. That was my name.
Yeah, Chad.
But I have a friend named Chad who's, so I don't say that anymore. So that super attractive women are not on those dating apps.
Yeah,
but they are on Instagram. And
Yeah.
what I found is like when I asked these girls, how do you meet the last 5 guys? So I'm going to ask you this. The last 5 guys that at least you kissed on a first date or on any date, the last 5 guys you went out with, where did you meet them?
Instagram.
All 5 of them?
I would say so, yeah. Or just friend of a friend.
Friend of a friend. Is the
Pretty
friend
much all of them.
a female friend or a male friend?
Female.
So a female friend would introduce you to a guy, or you would meet a guy on Instagram?
Like a female friend would introduce us, and then your form of communication is Instagram.
Sign up below. It's right down there in the comments if you guys want to join MOI. Thank you so much. You guys feel free to sign up. I'm going to get you a fucking affiliate code. I didn't talk to her about this before. She is explicitly saying what I've been telling you motherfuckers for 2.5 years. Just want to point that out. All right, awesome. Beautiful. Where can people find you?
On Instagram. Now my OnlyFans as well. So just Battle Sky for both.
Do you have to hide the link to OF? Like, how do you do it? Do you have like the backup account that leads to the OF, or how do you do it? Or Twitter?
Yeah, I just started it, so I'm just going to do what every other model does. I'll start it on Twitter, and then, yeah, I'll hide the link for sure. My account's gotten taken down 3 times now, so.
I would link to a backup and then have the link to a backup that goes to a page that says exclusive content, but I wouldn't link any direct OF thing to your thing.
Yeah.
And then, or have your page linked to your Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter is you're still golden on Twitter, and then on Twitter have a link to OF. But OF directly on IG, any sort of touch of that whatsoever, you're done.
I've been getting in trouble for a while now. I mean, the last time my account went down, which was just like last month, I thought that was it.
Yeah.
I had to pay
remember that.
$2,000 to get it back.
Some guy in Turkey, let me guess.
China, probably.
China, yeah. You don't know where it was?
Yeah, and I was shocked when I got it back, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to behave from now on. I'm never losing it again. So, yeah, I'm going to take you up on that.
Yeah, that's kind of the way to do it.
Yeah.
The other thing is, like, you know, I've been telling a lot of girls this, and I think it would work. I don't know if I'm wrong about this, but I like the Baywatch one piece.
Hell yeah.
I loved Pamela Anderson in that.
The high up hips.
Yeah,
I always say that.
But I'm just saying, like, I know this one girl, she's an Asian model, and she the chopsticks in the hair, glasses, hair up, and then a turtleneck, but you can still see she has huge boobs.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get your account taken down for that.
Yeah.
So I just feel like mix in other stuff. I don't know. But then there's a part of me that's like, you know, I've said this before, nobody hates women more than Instagram. Nobody. There's no, the fucking Ayatollah of Iran does not hate women more than fucking Instagram.
Yeah.
It is just a war on anything that looks feminine.
Yeah.
If you look like a 12-year-old girl, you are good to go on IG. You are good to go on TikTok. Dance and Daisy Dukes. All the pedophiles can watch you and masturbate.
Yeah.
They're super fine with that. Anything on Instagram that deals with a woman that has a female feminine form of that shows a healthy feminine form, banned. Immediately taken down. And I don't meet any women who disagree with this, because all of them have lost their account. And then when they say you've lost your account for bullying because you have big boobs, you're bullying. What the fuck is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That shit is crazy to me. Anyway. All right. So we can find you on Instagram. Do you have anything planned in the future? Anything coming up?
Anything coming up? Not quite. I got a bunch of photo shoots and stuff, so that should be good. Doing a bunch of, well, I can't tell you guys what it is, but a few publications coming up that are really good.
Okay.
So I've just been kind of waiting. I was supposed to release everything this month, but due to my account getting taken down, my algorithms all fucked up. So I got to wait a little bit, but some really good stuff. So kind of like my life goals that I've been wanting to hit. I finally hit all them. So
all right.
Really good. Yeah.
Time to buy that island.
Yep.
Is that what's next?
Oh yeah. I'm going to buy a house.
Okay.
Probably in like a few months. So.
All right.
Yep.
Nice. Well, guys, make sure you follow her on Instagram at Battle Sky. Make sure you guys check it out. Spell it that way. There's no E at the very end. That kind of threw me off there a couple of times. Make sure you guys check out Jordan there. Thank you, guys. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this, please put some stuff in the comments. I really appreciate this. She came on Access Vegas. You guys should check out that episode also coming up. For those of you interested, we got Babes in Toyland coming up on the 18th. We got another Babes in Toyland May 20th in Miami. If you're interested in coming to that, that one's
White
gonna
party.
It's going to be the white party.
Go.
Let's do it. April 1st, if you guys are interested, we're doing a charity for kids, Cruise for Kids. It is called the Bunny Ball in San Diego. We're going to be doing that April 1st, and several more things coming up in the bikini competition this summer at Wet Republic. Be ready for that. That is going to be crazy. We're going to be giving away a lot of money. Thank you guys, man. Please like, share, and subscribe. I cannot express to you one more thing. If you guys ever come up to me, some people came up to me last weekend. They were like, hey, man, I didn't want to bother you. I just want to get a photo. You're never bothering me. Just come up, ask for a fucking, especially if I'm on a date. Ask for a photo. I'm totally fine with it. You can do it anytime you want. I appreciate it. I'm never going to say no to anybody. Another thing I want to point out, I watched when Neil deGrasse Tyson came out with his last book, and when Gary Vaynerchuk came out with their last book, they did every podcast possible. They were doing podcasts with 30 subscribers. I will go on any podcast. Any of you guys, I don't care how small it is. I just want to let you know, especially if you made it to the end of this video. If you guys are a content creator, a lot of times people need a boost and it's hard for them to get guests. I will go on anyone. I don't care if you have 2 fucking subscribers. I've been on podcasts before that didn't even start. They didn't even have any subscribers. So I'll always say yes to that. So if you guys are interested in that, I'm trying to do between 3 and 5 different podcasts per week. So let me know if you guys are interested in that. Just reach out to me and I'll make sure to do that. And we will see all of you next week. You